I never thought I'd be the one to cross that line. But there I was, alone with my stepson, feeling things I shouldn't. The air was thick with tension as we sat on the couch, our hands accidentally brushing against each other. I tried to push the thoughts away to be the responsible adult. But with each passing moment, the line between right and wrong began to blur. I remember the night it all started to change. We were having our usual movie night, just me and Jake. His dad was working late again. The living room was dark, lit only by the flickering TV screen. Jake sat closer to me than usual on the couch. I told myself it was because he was scared. We were watching a horror movie after all. But then his hand brushed against mine as we both reached for the popcorn. A jolt of electricity shot through me. His touch lingered for a moment too long. I felt my heart start to race, my cheeks flushing with heat. What was happening to me? I tried to focus on the movie, but I couldn't stop sneaking glances at Jake. When had he gotten so tall? So handsome? The way the blue light from the TV played across his features made him look older, more mature. I shook my head, trying to clear these thoughts. He was my stepson, for God's sake. I was just feeling maternal, protective. That had to be it. But as the night went on, I became hyper-aware of his presence next to me. The warmth of his body, the smell of his cologne. My skin tingled every time he shifted and our arms touched. I felt myself leaning into him without even realizing it. Lying in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I finally admitted the truth to myself. I was attracted to my stepson. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. How could this be happening? What kind of person was I? But surely it would pass, right? Have you ever told yourself a lie so many times that you started to believe it? I was about to become an expert in self-deception, and it all started with an accidental encounter. I found myself lingering outside Jake's room one afternoon, my heart racing. I knew he was changing clothes. I shouldn't go in, but before I could stop myself, I pushed open the door. "Oh, I'm so sorry," I gasped, pretending to be flustered as Jake scrambled to cover up. But my eyes had already drunk in the sight of his bare chest, his muscular arms. I felt a rush of heat through my body. That moment opened a floodgate. Suddenly, I was finding all sorts of reasons to be alone with Jake. I'd offer to drive him to school, insisting his father needed the car. I'd stay up late, waiting for him to come home from his part-time job. Each time, guilt gnawed at me, but desire pushed it aside, whispering that there was nothing wrong with spending time with my stepson. I told myself I was just being a good mother figure, that Jake needed my guidance, my attention. But deep down, I knew the truth. I craved those moments alone with him, the electric tension that filled the air between us. I found myself dressing differently when I knew we'd be alone, choosing outfits that were just a little too tight, a little too revealing. The excuses became more elaborate. I'd forget something at the store, asking Jake to come with me to pick it up. I'd insist on helping him with homework, even though he was perfectly capable on his own. Each lie I told myself made the next one easier. It was like a twisted game of mental gymnastics, justifying every lingering touch, every loaded glance. Finally, I hit upon the perfect solution. "We should have a movie night," I suggested casually one evening. "Just the two of us when your dad's working late." Jake's eyes lit up, and I felt a thrill of excitement. It was innocent enough, wasn't it? Just a stepmom and stepson watching films together. But as I set up our first movie night, arranging the pillows on the couch so we'd have to sit close, I knew I was crossing a line. This wasn't maternal affection. This was something much more dangerous. But I pushed the thought away, focusing instead on the anticipation building inside me. How long could I keep lying to myself? Have you ever felt a connection so intense, so forbidden, that it made your skin tingle? I was about to discover just how powerful and dangerous that feeling could be, and it all started with a simple power outage. The storm had been brewing all evening, rumbling in the distance like some angry beast. Jake and I were huddled on the couch, pretending to watch a movie, but I could feel the electricity in the air, and it had nothing to do with the lightning outside. Suddenly, a deafening crack of thunder shook the house. The lights flickered once, twice, and then we were plunged into darkness. I felt Jake jump beside me, his hand accidentally brushing my thigh. Even in the pitch black, I could sense his proximity, feel the heat radiating from his body. "I'll get some candles," I whispered, my voice sounding strange and breathless in the darkness. I fumbled my way to the kitchen, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure Jake could hear it. When I returned with a flickering candle, the soft light cast shadows across his face, making him look older, more mature. We sat in silence for a moment, the tension between us almost unbearable. I could feel goosebumps rising on my arms, and my breath came in short, shallow gasps. Jake's eyes met mine, and I saw something there that made my stomach flip. Desire, longing, the same feelings that were coursing through my own body. I knew I should move away, put some distance between us. But instead, I found myself leaning closer. The scent of Jake's cologne filled my nostrils, making me dizzy. I could hear the rapid beat of his heart, or maybe it was my own Dot in that moment. All the justifications and excuses I'd been making melted away. There was only this burning need, this forbidden attraction. I knew it was wrong, knew the consequences could be devastating, but I couldn't stop myself. Our lips met in a desperate, hungry kiss. It was like a dam breaking, all the pent-up desire and longing pouring out at once. Jake's hands tangled in my hair as he pulled me closer, and I gasped against his mouth. When we finally broke apart, both breathing heavily, I saw the same mix of guilt and desire in Jake's eyes that I felt in my own heart. There was no going back now. We had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed.
As another flash of lightning illuminated the room, I realized with a sinking feeling in my gut that our lives would never be the same again. The storm outside had passed, but a tempest was just beginning to rage within me. As I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, I barely recognized the woman looking back. Who was she, and what had she become?
My hands gripped the edges of the sink, knuckles turning white as the reality of what I'd done crashed over me. I kissed Jake, my stepson. The guilt hit me like a physical blow, leaving me breathless. How could I have let this happen? I splashed cold water on my face, trying to wash away the memory of Jake's lips on mine. But I couldn't erase the feeling of his hands in my hair, the way my body had responded to his touch. Even now, shame battled with a lingering desire that made me feel sick to my stomach. What kind of person was I? I'd betrayed my husband, violated the trust of my family. I thought about all the times I'd made excuses, all the little moments that had led to this. Each one seemed so small at the time, but now I saw how they'd added up to something monstrous. I remembered reading once about how infidelity can shatter your self-image. Now I understood. I'd always thought of myself as a good person, a faithful wife. But now, I didn't know who I was anymore. The woman in the mirror looked like a stranger, someone capable of things I never thought possible. My mind raced, considering the consequences. What if my husband found out? What if Jake told someone? The life I'd built could come crashing down around me in an instant. And even if no one ever knew, could I live with this secret? The weight of it already felt unbearable. I thought about Jake, probably lying awake in his room right now. Was he feeling the same turmoil? Or was he excited, eager for more? The idea sent another wave of nausea through me. I was the adult. I should have known better, should have put a stop to this long ago. As the first rays of morning light crept through the window, I realized the full weight of my choices. There was no going back, no undoing what had been done. I had to decide what to do next. Confess everything, try to pretend it never happened. Neither option seemed bearable. I reached for my phone, my hand shaking. But was it too late to turn back? I sat there, phone in hand, my finger hovering over the call button. Who could I possibly turn to? My husband's face flashed in my mind, but the thought of confessing made my stomach churn. Then Jake's image appeared, those eyes that had looked at me with such desire. My heart raced, torn between the comfort of familiar love and the thrill of forbidden passion. I scrolled through my contacts, pausing on my best friend's name. Could I trust her with this secret? Or would she judge me, cast me out? The weight of my choices pressed down on me. Suffocating Dot, my thumb trembled as it hovered over the screen. One call could change everything, but which path should I choose? The phone felt heavy in my hand, like it held the key to my future. I took a deep breath and pressed down, praying I was making the right decision.